Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Now we're going to talk about Dhuhr prayer. Dhuhr meaning the noon prayer, which is the second time of prayer for Muslims. Dhuhr prayer, the timing of the prayer is when the sun is exactly on the top, is when the sun is on the peak. So there are a lot of, so I think timing won't be a problem, but there is a period of praying the Dhuhr prayer. It's approximately 3-4 hours. There is a time period between the afternoon prayer and the Dhuhr prayer. So Dhuhr prayer is 4 rakah, 4 mandatory rakah. That means 4 rakah fard. And before that there is 4 rakah sunnah, which is voluntary prayer. And after the fard, there is also 2 more rakah, another sunnah to be done for Muslims. As you know, sunnah is voluntary, so you don't have to do it. But I'm going to start with the sunnah prayer anyway. Before the fard, there is 4 rakah sunnah, so you can either pray at your home before you go to the mosque, or you can pray at the mosque. The sunnah prayer, so location doesn't really matter. So you start as you usually start any other prayer with takbir, and recite the necessary recitations, and ruku, sujud, and you sit down in the second cycle and recite at-tahiyyatu and nothing else. You get up for the third circle. And third circle, you start with Bismillah, Basmala, and Fatiha and Dhammul, meaning a little bit from Quran. And third cycle and the fourth cycle goes like this. It's exactly the same like the first 2 cycles. The only difference between the voluntary prayer, sunnah prayers of other 4 rakah is that you only recite when you sit down in the second rakah. You only recite at-tahiyyatu and nothing else. And when you get up, you start with Bismillah and Fatiha directly. So in the sunnah of afternoon prayer, which we will come, and in the 4 rakah sunnah of first rakah sunnah of the night prayer, you recite at-tahiyyatu and Allahumma salli, Allahumma barik too. And when you get up, you start with Subhanaka again, and then isti'adha, and then Fatiha. So that's the only difference that I can think of right now. So and then comes time to perform the fard 4 rakah. It is also 4 rakah, and we usually start as usual, as we start any other prayer with takbir, and we recite Fatiha and Dhammul surah. Of course, at the beginning, we don't forget to recite in Subhanaka and Isti'adha, and then Fatiha and Dhammul surah. And then first cycle, second cycle is the same, and we sit down in the second cycle and recite just like in the sunnah prayer, recite only at-tahiyyatu and then get up. And then third rakah of the fard, the obligatory prayer, the fourth rakah of the fard, actually that would be a better way to put it. If it's more than 2 rakah, the mandatory, obligatory fard prayers, if it's more than 2 rakah, after 2 rakah, in the third or fourth rakah, you only recite Fatiha, nothing else. So you don't need to recite extra verses from Quran. And after the 4 rakah prayer, there is 2 more rakah of voluntary prayer, which is again a sunnah, but very strong sunnah. So that's something. Actually, the first 4 rakah of Dhuhr prayer, noon prayer, is stronger than the last 2 rakah. So if you miss, in case you miss the 4 rakah of sunnah, you can make it up after the fard, after the mandatory prayer. You can make it up. So when you make up, there are 2 ways to do it. Either you can do the first sunnah and then the second or 2 rakah voluntary prayer afterwards, or you can do vice versa. It doesn't matter. You can do both. But what ulama usually suggest is that you go ahead and do the first voluntary sunnah first, and then the 2 rakah voluntary sunnah later. So that will be the things to keep in mind regarding the Dhuhr prayer. Thank you.